Hello. Pretty quiet week this week, and that's fine. Not every week can be a big, huge news week. There are some interesting events coming up, though, and I want to keep you up to date on all the event kind of stuff that's happening. But since it's a quiet week, since there's not much news, this is a good time to remind you to make sure to sign up for the Portland Startup Slack if you would like to stay in touch with other people in the Portland startup community or maybe connect with some other folks. There's no easier way to do that than the Portland Startup Slack. It's a free instance, 7,000 some odd people on there, and a couple hundred to 1,000 who are on there, and verbal on a regular basis where you can see them. So it's always a good opportunity to connect with the Portland startup community there. And then, of course, sign up for the Oregon Startup Folks database. Submit your profile to that. Take a look at the other profiles. Find people you might want to meet. Just designed to be a way to help connect the dots in the community. So both the Slack and the Oregon Folks database, the Oregon Startup Folks database, really designed to get you better connected in the community. So if you stumbled upon this video and you're trying to figure out how to get connected, those are two really good ways to do that. Okay. Getting going with the first, this just came in. Somebody DM'd me on LinkedIn. Our friends at Yak are a semi-finalist yet again for another event. This time it's the StartupGrind AI Global Summit that's happening October 1st. I think it's both in person and virtual. It's free if you'd like to attend. I believe the pitches happen at 8:30 a.m. on October 1st and shouldn't take very long. So if you would like to see Shannon at Yak pitch against 3 other competitors, and who knows, maybe walk away with the big global win at the StartupGrind AI Summit, I highly encourage you to grab a ticket, add it to your calendar, tune in. But of course, I will tell you about the outcome. So if you don't have time to do it, I will keep an eye on it for you. Don't you worry. I know you got a lot to do. You got your startup-y things that you're doing. You can't make it to every single event, so I got you. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll let you know. But break leg, Shannon and Yak mentioned yet again. I don't know that. What is that? 5 times now? I've lost count. But clearly, Yak is making news and making headlines. So a big event coming up, Pitch Latino Portland. Pitch Latino started, originally inspired by Pitch Black, very similar format. A bunch of Latin-led startups get the opportunity to take the stage, kind of share what they're building, pitch their idea. The audience votes. At the end of it, there's a big winner that gets to walk away with a good chunk of the money that's raised for the event. But the best part of it is that everybody who participates, every founder who takes time and has the courage to get up on stage at Pitch Latino gets some money out of it. So, it's not one of those things where it's just purely founder as tribute.
I volunteer as tribute.
Or entertainment. It's a situation where founder not only gets a good chance to practice their pitch, but they also do get some monetary reward for taking that risk, which is always great. And I say Pitch Latino Portland because it's expanded all over the place. I'm trying to think of all the places that have had Pitch Latino. I know there was just Pitch Latino San Diego. I know there's been a Pitch Latino Tri-Cities and a Pitch Latino Seattle, and Pitch Latino all over the place. They've really expanded this program, not only in Oregon, but throughout the Pacific Northwest. And obviously San Diego is in California, Rick. So obviously to California as well. Always good to see, always nice to see people finding these kind of event formats compelling, obviously focused on the Latin community, Latino and Latinas who are founding amazing businesses and have great stories to tell. So, just like Pitch Black, I'm a huge fan of Pitch Latino. Really glad that Juan Barraza started it back in the day and that Latino Founders, the organization that Juan helped start and is the executive director of Latino Founders. Glad they're continuing to expand the platform to support more Latino and Latina founders in our communities. That takes place October 9th, which is a Thursday at OMSI. And if you haven't been to OMSI to see this event, it's like a huge IMAX screen, and the chairs, the stadium seating is really steep. And so it's a really interesting venue to watch pitches and to watch any event and to watch a movie. And it's just an interesting venue, and OMSI is always a great place. So last time I was there for Pitch Latino, it was full, it was sold out. You're going to want to grab your ticket as soon as you can. They are $35, but again, that $35 goes into the prize pool for all the people who participate in the pitch event. And then you'll want to make sure to have your phone so that you can vote at the end of the event and let people know who your favorite pitches were. That's October 9th, Thursday. I'll be there. Hope to see you there. I'll say hi if I see you. And really looking forward to hearing these pitches. Lots of interesting companies. So really looking forward to hearing the pitches and the stories of the companies at Pitch Latino Portland 2025. This one made me a little nostalgic. There was a time where Portland was very much a hub of open source activity. We had OSCON, which was O'Reilly's biggest open source conference, which was an international event that would happen here on a regular basis. But we also had smaller events like around Python and Django and Ruby and PHP and maybe Perl, I don't know, and Postgres and MySQL and WordPress and all kinds of open sourcey kind of things that used to happen here. And that's kind of trailed off a little bit. And then part of that is just that, corporations started leveraging open source as part of the solution set that they were delivering. And that also kind of caused the community to become a little diffuse because people were now using open source products within a corporate environment. And that kind of changed the dynamic of things. It became this kind of mishmash of open source and proprietary and intellectual property and Creative Commons-y kind of. So it got a little messy. Stuff seemed to trail off. But, we always love a good tech event. If you were keeping an eye on the Cascadia JS event that just happened recently, lots of good energy coming out of that event. And coming up on October 11th is XO Ruby, which is a Ruby focused conference. I don't know if it's Ruby proper, Ruby on Rails. It's probably both, but it's a one-day event for Ruby enthusiasts that's being hosted here in Portland. So if you are a Ruby type person, if you use the Ruby on the Rails, you might want to check out that event. If it's just been a while, maybe you're not doing Ruby anymore, but you used to do Ruby and used to love that community, could be a time to reconnect with your peers. Should be a good event. I don't have the pricing off the top of my head, but it is just one day. It's a Saturday, October 11th. If you're into Ruby, please check that out. And if you do attend, I'll be curious to hear what you think of the event. Again, it would be nice to see more of these events occurring on a more regular basis in Portland. So I was really excited to see XO Ruby taking place October 11th. Got something in my eye. I don't know what it is, but it really, really hurts. So I'm sorry. Give me a sec. I'll need to get it fixed. And yes, it was my finger. Going from a one-day event to a week-long event. And starting on October 13th, running through the 17th, is High Desert Innovation Week down in Bend. There are a variety of events that are happening that week. It starts off with the High Desert Innovation Fest, which is a pitch competition, so kind of techie thing, and then it goes to the Cultivate Bend Live, Cultivate Bend is an organization that's really focused on the consumer products, consumer packaged good industry. in Bend, and I had the chance to collaborate with them as part of my work at Built Oregon back in the day when we hosted the Built Festival down in Bend in collaboration with Cultivate Bend. This is their own whole big thing around consumer packaged goods, CPG, and CPG manufacturing called Cultivate Bend Live. That will be happening on that Tuesday. Then Bend Outdoor Works, which is an accelerator for outdoor products, has their annual demo day kind of event for the people who participate in their program. That's been part of that week for a long, long time, even before it was called High Desert Innovation Week, Bend Outdoor Works. And then, of course, ending the week on the 16th and 17th is Bend Venture Conference, which is in its 22nd year. They've been doing it there for a while. Obviously, there's early stage startup competition. There's a growth stage startup competition, and this is pitching for potential investment. So not only do the companies get the chance to stand in front of the audience and tell their story and pitch what they're building, but they also have the potential to get equity-based investment out of that event. So that's the whole week. That's High Desert Innovation Week. If you're planning to be down in Bend, it's a good idea to spend the whole week down there and attend a lot of these events. If you're looking for an excuse to travel to Bend, this is probably the best week to do it. I mean, apart from all the other weeks of the year when you can do amazing mountain biking and hiking and skiing and all that kind of stuff. But if you want a business in Bend, this is an awfully good week to do it. So I encourage you to come up from California or down from Washington or come down from Portland to Bend to really experience what's going on there in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship, and startups. That's, the October 13th through the 17th will be the best week to do it. I'll be down for BBC. I don't know that I'll make the other events that week, but I'll definitely be down there for Bend Venture Conference and hope to run into you as well. Quick one, little app. There was, speaking of the Portland Startup Slack that I told you at the top of the show that you should be on the Portland Startup Slack. Somebody mentioned this. The person who built it mentioned it on the Portland Startup Slack. That's how I found out about it. It's called TrainSnap. If you have ever traveled by car or bus, or sometimes by bike or foot through Southeast Portland, you have likely encountered the train. And not just the MAX, you encounter that quite frequently, but the Union Pacific Railway train that will often block traffic. Sometimes it will just stop. Sometimes it'll be going and then it will just stop and the gates will be down and traffic will be blocked and there will be no way to get through. You have to go up and over and around or, down and over and around by OMSI, which is where Pitch Latino is happening. See, I'm tying it all together, tying all these threads together. And anyway, it can be very frustrating. So TrainSnap is designed to help you understand when a train might be blocking the intersection. And part of the challenge here, and I don't exactly know how they're doing it. It's an app, it's a mobile app. I don't know if they're reporting in like Waze, the driving app where people report, hazard in the road or there's a speed trap over here or whatever. I don't know if TrainSnap's using that kind of way of figuring out when the train comes by because there's no set schedule for security reasons. They don't want folks to know when the train is coming through town or crossing those streets or stopping because they don't want anybody to do anything nefarious to the train. So that makes perfect sense. But I'm really curious as to how TrainSnap is figuring out when the train is there and what other stops they're planning to do next. So they announced the app. It's available on both Android and iOS. If the train is frustrating to you in Southeast Portland, I suggest you download the app, give it a shot, and let me know if you like it or if you don't, or maybe let the developer know what TrainSnap should also include, like what other stops you find frustrating. I just find it interesting because it's a very kind of niche product starting out with a very small solution set So it's solving a very specific problem, but in so doing, it's creating a platform that will allow it to expand and add other features and stops and details that may be valuable to you traveling throughout Portland and then maybe elsewhere. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check it out. Another one that just came across my desk, I haven't had the chance to even write it up. Raven Zachary, long time Portland startup community and open source. Speaking of open source, I think the first place I met Raven was at OSCON when it was here in Portland, when he was doing open sourcey stuff. But Raven, very, very early in the Mac ecosystem, very early in the iPhone ecosystem. He developed an event called iPhone Dev Camp that was people basically building apps for the iPhone before it was even it was an open platform, before the App Store existed, before apps could be loaded onto the iPhone by an average human. He was building this hackathon event where people were building those apps. And then that eventually kind of became Small Society, which was an agency he founded. Actually, let me let Raven tell you Raven's background. After the launch of the iPhone, I created iPhone Dev Camp, the largest gathering of iPhone developers outside of Apple's own WWDC, as well as building apps for Obama, the Obama app, Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart, and many other large brands at a startup I founded called Small Society. Small Society went on to be acquired by Walmart, and then Raven got enamored of HoloLens, Microsoft's HoloLens platform, but then he got drawn back to the Apple ecosystem with the Apple Vision, the immersive Apple Vision hardware and Vision OS. So now he's kind of doing that thing again. Early to Mac, early to iPhone, early to HoloLens, now early to Apple Vision and Vision OS. And he created this site that's really just keeping up to date on news. So stuff that's happening, it's really a news site, news aggregator, purely focused on the Apple Vision ecosystem. So I know there are a lot of you that are interested in Apple Vision. I know a lot of you who have Apple Vision. If you want the latest and greatest on what's happening on that platform, in that ecosystem, both coming from Apple and coming from the broader Apple Vision ecosystem, then you'll want to pay attention to raven.vision. I will go ahead and link that up so they have access to that. But I always love to see people who are aggregating news, making it easier for people to find the stuff they want. And perhaps even more so than that, just really excited to see Raven pop up again and see him still kind of focused on an aspect of the community and engaging with the community in terms of sharing news and bringing people together. So take a look at that if Apple Vision is of interest to you. Okay, that's it. Again, it was fast. A couple of fun app site things, but this is the pretty quiet week. This is the part where I tell you secrets, and I was heads down and busy and weird, so I didn't get to talk to a lot of people this week. I had some other stuff happening that prevented me from really attending any evening events that I can remember. I don't remember doing any evening events, so I don't think that I did this week. But I did get the chance to catch up with a couple people from very, very early days of the startup community and with the Raven thing. There was just a lot of nostalgia kind of swirling. One of the folks I caught up with was the person who helped start an event here called Lunch 2.0 that he had borrowed kind of from the Bay Area that he brought here. And it was a really effective way of bringing community together around Portland. Lunch 2.0, the premise being basically that a corporate entity, a startup usually, would just buy lunch for the community, and then the community would come in and get free lunch, get to learn more, about the startup, get to see their office really was the big deal. Was the idea behind Lunch 2.0, I believe originally it was kind of like a bunch of people who worked at various tech places, like showing up at one another's cafeteria and hanging out and seeing what their stuff was like. But we did we built our own kind of Portland version of it. And that ran for a long time and was a really important part of the community for a time. So it was really nice it's always nice to catch up with him and kind of like see where he is and what he's thinking about with the future, because he tends to be on that kind of cutting edge as well and really thoughtful about it. And then I caught up with one of the founders that had been in an early cohort of Pi, the startup accelerator I founded. And, I gotta say, there was something really special about that meeting in that I think Portland has a lot of optimism. And I think founders tend to have a lot of optimism. But lately, not as optimistic as I'm used to. And on the founder side, founders, I love you dearly, but a lot of that optimism is just naive optimism. And it's good. You need that naivete. If you knew how painful it was going to be, if you knew how hard it was going to be, you wouldn't be doing what you were doing. So that naive optimism is needed. That exuding naive optimism is needed. It's part of the journey. It's what you got to do. But so often people can become biased or jaundiced or, more cynical and pessimistic after they've been through things a few times, and that tends to dampen the optimism. But what I felt with this founder, who is a serial founder, several successful exits, was a really informed optimism. Like, he knows a lot of things that are happening. He knows a lot of stuff that's going on in town, and he's super optimistic about what he's seeing. Some of that is from folks he's worked with directly. Some of it is from other folks who've reached out to him. But it was the first time in a long time sitting down with somebody in the community who I deeply respect and have really treasured being part of their journey, both as an observer and at times a participant. It was just really nice to feel that optimism again, and to just realize that everything's cyclical. And while it might not feel like we haven't quite caught the momentum yet. Like, there's stuff happening. I know there's stuff happening here and there, and pockets of activity and great organizers organizing great events, and that's starting to happen. But as I've said in the past, there's not like the cohesive momentum. But this was one of those times where, I really felt optimistic coming out of that conversation, and optimistic with reason. So that informed optimism really made my week. Unfortunately, the rest of the week was just so that I'm kind of low energy and overwhelmed and other things. But there's nothing for you to do there. Thank you for watching. I mean, I'm glad you were here. You've already done your part. You've hung out this whole time. You listened to me jabber about the events and things, and then you listened to the secrets quite patiently. I really appreciate it. You listened to me pontificate on Portland ethos and culture and dynamics and zeitgeist and all those kind of things. So as always, thank you for being here, and thank you for putting up with me. I hope you're hanging in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.